Welcome into 5 Wide, as today we're previewing the AFC Wild Card Round in the NFL playoffs. We get into what I think I have 5 of my favorite bets, at least one for each of these games here. If you guys enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well. If you're new, we had a great regular season, closed it out pretty poorly. We went 0-3 in week 18, but still over 60% on the year here in our YouTube videos. So won't waste any time here. Let's get into the first matchup. We've got the Texans and the Browns. I've got a play on the side and as well a player prop. So getting into this matchup, I'm leaning with the Texans, going with the Texans at +2.5. There's a trend that I actually looked deep into yesterday, wanted to figure out. So here's what it is. Since 2015, teams that had to earn their spot in week 18 to get into the postseason against teams that had already clinched prior to the final week of the year are 14-5 against the spread. Fits here in this spot with the Texans having to win and get in against the Colts last week, while the Browns benched most of their starters and had nothing to play for in the final week of the season. So that's a 74% hit rate we've had since 2015 on these particular teams. Most of the time, they're underdogs. Get a special spot here because the Texans are underdogs at home. Now, these teams obviously played a few weeks ago. Christmas Eve they played, and the Browns won that game 34-22 in Houston. But no CJ Stroud in that game, and I think that's massively impactful when you're breaking down this game and shouldn't be using too much from that game when it goes into your handicap of this one. Obviously, defensively, you could certainly pay attention to, but what I want to pay attention to is Stroud's absence and how it impacts the offense. So the Browns like to play a lot of man coverage. 6th in the league in man coverage rate, 32% of plays. Why is that impactful? Well, CJ Stroud and this offense have absolutely torched man coverage so far this season. Nico Collins has a 4.47 yards per route run. And you also look at the fact that we've got Bobby Slowick calling plays here for the offense, formerly with the San Francisco 49ers last year, him and DeMeco Ryans. What did the 49ers do really well offensively the last couple of years under Kyle Shanahan? Generate yards after the catch. And when you're in man coverage against this Texans team, they're going to kill you with yards after the catch. Their top receivers were averaging over 10 yards after the catch per reception. So this is what they can do when you get, of course, CJ Stroud throwing the football as opposed to Case Keenum or Davis Mills. Big deciding factor for me as to what to do with this game. Obviously, like that trend, like what this team can do offensively. The concern is defensively. But turnover battle is what decides this game for me and why I like the Texans to cover and potentially win this game. Case Keenum threw 2 interceptions in that game in Houston a few weeks ago. Flacco, though, has thrown 8 interceptions in his 5 games he's played this year. He's thrown an interception in every single game. Stroud has been like a veteran when it comes to taking care of the football. This team is just not turning the ball over much when Stroud is a quarterback. I would expect that to be no different here at home. I know it's a rookie quarterback. I know guys making their first postseason start have tended to struggle when they get into the postseason, but I think it's a different case for Stroud. I think he's much different than your typical rookie quarterback, and I think he puts that on display in this game, so I like them to cover at +2.5. Now, player prop. One you're going to pay a little bit of juice for those of you guys that like to put together parlays with some of these picks or with other people's picks, your own picks. If you're looking to put together a parlay this week, do not leave this out. But I'm playing this straight. I played it for about 3 units or to win about 3 units in this one. So I really like Joe Flacco over half an interception. Got to shop around because some books have this really juiced, but the best price I could find for those of you in the US, ESPN bet. For those of you in Canada like me, it's at the Score Bet, -155 over half an interception. I played this over 1.5 at +275, and I also played this 3+ at +900. So I think both of those are in play as well. Like I said, Flacco's thrown an interception every game this season, and when he's throwing the football 30+ times over the last couple of seasons, obviously there's some games where he's coming in mop-up duty that I'm not going to include. He's over in 6 of 8 as well. Look at the Texans game. Obviously, he played the Texans this year. I said he's thrown an interception every game. He threw 2 in Houston earlier this season. So I like that there. And Houston's a team that's actually been pretty capable of racking up interceptions and predatorily in their secondary. They have 16 on the year, almost 1 per game, 7th in the NFL as well. So they're able to force some turnovers defensively in that secondary. And what I also like in particular about this matchup, not just the capability of the Texans to force interceptions, is the Texans are going to force Joe Flacco to throw the ball quite a bit. I think the Browns will lean on their passing attack, much like they did in this game a few weeks ago. The Browns just could not run the football, and that's been the case for a lot of teams against Houston. They're 5th in EPA against the run this season. They've been very, very good with the absence of, obviously, last week against Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. But the pass attempts line for Flacco is 37.5. That is a significant amount of attempts. And when you look at Flacco's ability to turn the ball over, if you're looking at him throwing 40 balls in this game, I'm very, very confident he's going to turn at least one of these things over. So love him to throw an interception. Would also play this at over 1.5 to get you some nice plus money as well. Okay, next we move to Dolphins and Chiefs on Saturday night. This is a game that I haven't, was a little bit back and forth on. When the line posted, I was pretty excited to potentially lay the points with the Chiefs because they were even at 1.5, but I kind of missed out on it, decided to wait it out. And now this line is ballooned all the way up to 4.5. I even played this actually at plus 5.5. I'm taking the Dolphins. I think this is too many points in this game, and I'll tell you a little bit why I believe this. So first, the negative here with Miami, like just incredibly banged up. It's really, really tough to overcome for any team. Now, can the Miami Dolphins win this game? I think so, but more likelihood for me is they cover this and maybe lose this by a field goal. But they're going to be without their top 4 edge rushers. They lost Jalen Phillips. They lost Bradley Chubb for the season. They lose it, injure Van Ginkel and Cam Good in their finale against the Bills. So that's going to kill you if you just can't rush the passer. They're now going Melvin Ingram one end and potentially Justin Houston on the other, who they just signed right up in the lead up to this game this week. They also have guys on the injury report that I'm concerned about. Javon Holland and Deshaun Elliott and their 2 starting safeties. Xavier Howard hasn't played for a couple of weeks. Raheem Mostert and Jalen Waddle also hold injury tags. There's a chance they get all of these guys. You know you're not getting all these guys at 100%, but I do think you're going to get for sure Mostert and Waddle. I think you're going to get Xavier Howard. Holland and Elliott are the 2 guys that I'm a little bit more up in the air about their status. So that's the biggest cause for concern. Obviously, it's the reason why this Dolphins team has just spiraled out of control the last 5 weeks or so of the season. What I do like, though, weather is going to be a factor in this game. Everybody talking about how the Miami Dolphins cannot handle the elements, can't handle the cold weather. We're looking at 14 to 16 mile per hour winds consistently in this game, wind gusts up to over 20 miles an hour, and temperatures, of course, in Kansas City at Arrowhead below freezing. You're going to point to this being the reason why the Miami Dolphins can't win this game. When I believe that weather like this can actually benefit them, I don't think it works against Miami because Kansas City has been a brutal run defense. And if this game is windy, you're going to look at these teams to be putting the ball more on the ground, not going to be pushing the ball downfield as the wind will obviously play a factor on some downfield passing opportunities. Kansas City against the run, 26th in opponent EPA per rush. Like they're not a good run defense, giving up 4.5 yards per carry, which is 25th in the league as well. Meanwhile, Miami, pretty solid run defense, 3.8 yards per carry. And what's more impressive is that they do that under Vic Fangio. And Vic Fangio's defense, his defensive style is one that's given Mahomes fits over the years, especially Lou Anarumo and the way he's kind of played against this Kansas City passing attack. Like I said, Fangio's defense has not given up a lot in the run game, but they play with a lot of too high shell. So you got 2 high safeties. You're looking to put a cap on the big plays and have numbers in the secondary to defend the pass. And they leave a light box to run in, but they've been pretty good against the run, which is a good sign because even with a lack of numbers, they've been a very disciplined group and made plays in the run game. What also sticks out to me is Fangio gave up 21 points in the first half to the Chiefs and then gave up 0 in the second half in their loss in London earlier this season. So adjustments-wise, found answers, and those are adjustments that could spill over into this game as well. And we've seen this Kansas City team struggle offensively. Like this is a potentially we are who they thought they were type of offense that has not clicked all year, and maybe they don't in this game either. So 4.5 points is too many for me. I will take the Dolphins. Maybe they don't win this game, but I do think they cover with a pretty low total here, and the elements playing a factor. I think Devon Achane runs wild in this game. Okay, now to a player prop. Going to an under here. Obviously, a lot of people don't get too excited about playing an under, but I think this is a great spot. Tua Tagovailoa under 33.5 pass attempts. So I wanted to look at Achane, see what his number is going to be. He's not posted because Raheem Mostert's status is up in the air. Makes a lot of sense to me. I wouldn't want to bet this without knowing if these 2 guys are both going to be playing or just one of them will be playing. So we talked about the weather having an impact. Obviously, I think it's going to have an impact in the passing game because of the wind. But you also look at Tagovailoa's numbers over the course of the season, and to me, they point to the under. So he's under in 5 of his last 7 games. 2 games he went over were against Baltimore, a blowout loss to Baltimore, and a loss to Dallas. So two trailing game scripts and 2 run defenses that are very good. Baltimore, very, very good against the run. Dallas, very good against the run. And then you look at the matchup with Kansas City earlier this year. Tua only had 34 pass attempts in that game, and the Dolphins were down 21-0 at halftime. Like you're looking at a game script that's perfect for you throwing the ball, and he only was able to go over this by just 1 pass attempt. Look at a game here that I think will be a little bit tighter. You're going to see opportunities to run the football. You're going to be able to run the football pretty well against this Kansas City defense. And I'm kind of thinking that this is a number we're going to see more in the 20s than I am likely to see it in the 30s. So opponents against Kansas City are throwing the ball 32.7 times per game, pretty close to what this number is listed at, but it's actually a bottom 10 rate in the league. And You look at a team, Kansas City, that's obviously got that winning record. You're usually going to see teams throwing the ball against them in trailing game scripts, but it's still under what this number is listed at. And the Chiefs are an excellent pass defense. 4th in EPA against the pass. They're good up just 5.2 yards per coverage snap, which is 2nd. Good pass defense, bad run defense in a game that I think is going to be close. I think this is too much for Tua, who hasn't been able to clear this number, or who's cleared this number in less than 50% of his games this year. Under 33.5, I think is a great play here. And our final play, talking now Steelers and the Bills. I'm going to Josh Allen to score an anytime touchdown. Now, before we get into it, a little bit about this game. So this spread had moved from an open at 7.5. Now it's out to 10. TJ Watt is out. The Steelers are 1-10 without TJ Watt on the field since he's entered the league. That's a massive red flag. Like, this team has not put it together without their star player. And Mason Rudolph at quarterback. And I do think that Rudolph and his performance is more indicative of the teams they played, the bad defenses. The Bengals and the Seahawks have been brutal defensively this year, than it is this offense taking a step. I still think schematically they're well behind. I don't think that they can keep up. I think if you get in a game like this where the weather is going to be brutal in this one, I'm thinking about going to this game because I think the tickets will just fall off a cliff and be $40-$50. I'll embrace the elements. I am Canadian after all. But 25 mile per hour winds in Buffalo during this game, close to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. And we're looking at some snow as well. Snow, not much of something I pay attention to. It's more wind. That's a huge impact on the passing game. So I don't love the Steelers' run game. Najee Harris had a good finish to the season. Don't think he's a very talented back. I think Jalen Warren's definitely quite a bit better and a solid back, but don't fear this run game. And the Bills' defense has been great. So I do lean towards the Bills covering this number. What keeps me off of it is the win being a factor that's impacted this total down at 35.5, 36. I'm not willing to take a team to win by 10 plus with a total this low. So instead, turning to Allen to score a touchdown, which is actually priced pretty well because of the total being so low. You can find this at like minus 105. Awesome here because Allen has scored in 8 of his last 10 games and has 11 touchdowns over that span. 11 touchdowns in the last 10 games. So really, really good there when you look at how they're utilizing him. It's because the team doesn't really love James Cook in goal-to-go situations. They're missing Latavius Murray. They brought Leonard Fournette off the practice squad and have started handing him touches inside the opponent 10-yard line. And that's why Allen has 15 rushing touchdowns on the year. So we get this low total. I think both teams lean on the ground game. I think Allen finds the end zone in this one. And I do think the Bills blow them out. So I think if they do blow them out, ground game is working, and I think Allen finds the end zone. You're getting this at a great price. So those are my thoughts in Bills and Steelers. Okay, quick recap here. We're on the underdogs. I like the Texans plus 2.5. I like the Dolphins plus 4.5, and I'm also on Joe Flacco to throw an interception, Tua Tagovailoa under 33.5 pass attempts, and Josh Allen to score a rushing touchdown. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, got some value out of some of this information, please do hit that like button for me. Would really appreciate it. And as well, subscribe to the channel because we'll have NFC playoff preview coming tomorrow, and we'll have playoff content up until the Super Bowl. So stay with us there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.